Welcome to Fly Nubian Queen Network, the network for melanated people like you. I am your host, Mary Dean Esquire at thewallstreetlawyer.com. And today we're going to talk about something very, very, very tragic. So come on in here and drop your B1 because we always put Black people first. And this means a lot today with this topic. So I want you to not just drop your B1 in the chat today, guys. I want you to drop B1, and I also want you to hashtag girl power, hashtag justice for Izzy. Hashtag your justice for Izzy, and let me know you're here tonight. So we are going to talk about Izzy, the little 10-year-old from Utah who, let's see, who hangs herself, who ends her beautiful little young life by suicide over the weekend, which was very shocking, very sad. This was Strange Fruit 2021, self-inflicted. This poor little girl took her own life, and I'm going to read to you some of this story. I read this story and I was going to sum it up, but I need to read it word for word because I really don't want to miss any of the details. Black fifth graders, suicide blamed on bullying. Feds say her mostly white Utah school district ignored racism for years. It's hard to imagine a more tragic story. I can't think of anything more tragic than a little Black girl taking her own life in 2021. So we are doing this. We're talking about this tonight on Fly Nubian Queen because we want to honor another Fly Nubian Queen who just did not know how fly she truly was. So that makes me very, very sad. Back to this story. It's a very tragic story. A 10-year-old Black girl in Utah died by suicide after being bullied by classmates in a school district that had been investigated for ignoring racism in its classrooms. The Salt Lake Tribune reports that Izzy Tashiner, if I'm butchering her name, God forgive me, was a fifth grader in the Davis School District where she faced teasing over her race and the fact that she was autistic. The girl's grieving mother, Brittany Tashina Cox, says she repeatedly tried to get the district to intervene before the worst happened, but got no help from officials. Quoted from the Salt Lake Tribune. Tashina Cox says she believes her daughter's case that started this fall was handled with callousness and disregard, even after those findings became public and the district promised to change. Shortly after the school year started, Tashina Cox says she had asked Izzy how things were going. So the mom asked her daughter how things going in school. She recalls her daughter saying that she didn't think her teacher liked her. Tashina accounts recounted that Izzy then said she doesn't say hi to me. She says hi to all her other kids. Okay, so this little Black girl is being singled out in school. She is okay, let me finish this. Tashina Cox called the school and never got an answer. Following that, Tashina Cox said the teacher told the class that the students smell bad. So the teacher told the class that the students smell bad. I had to read this article and read it verbatim because I didn't read these accounts anywhere else. So this was just very... She believes the teacher specifically targeted Izzy with the comment because several kids specifically responded by threatening Izzy on the playground and telling her she stunk because of her skin color. Now, let's keep it real because the other article, this is in the root, the other articles that I read did not say this. Tashina Cox said that in response, Izzy took a bottle of air freshener to school to wear as perfume. Take a breath. The mom cried. Again, she called the school district. This time she said she got hold of the teacher directly. And this is what the teacher told her, according to the article. I am not going to work it out for them, she said. I will let them work it out. Children. This baby Izzy was 10 years old. She's going to let the 10-year-olds work it out on their own. Okay. Again, after that, Izzy told her mom that she asked the teacher for help, and the teacher told Izzy to sit down, that she didn't want to deal with her. That she didn't want to deal with her. Kids taunted her. They taunted her for her disability, and the girl told her mom. She said they called her names and made fun of the way that she looked. Tashina Cox, I don't know why they keep calling her Tashina Cox. Her mother said that she talked to the principal and vice principal. They told her they would handle it, and she does not believe that anything happened. If that wasn't bad enough, the same school district had already been called out at the highest level for ignoring abuse and racism towards its Black students. Already. So the school district as a whole was already put on notice. Davis is Utah's second largest school district and is mostly white. The feds started investigating racism there in 2019 and didn't like what it found out at all. According to the Salt Lake Tribune, Davis School District has intentionally ignored serious and widespread racial harassment in its school for years, failing to respond to hundreds of reports from Black students after they have been called slaves, the N-word, and heard threats that they would be lynched, according to a jarring report from the U.S. Department of Justice. So this is according to the U.S. DOJ. They have already been on, no, not just the school district, but the United States Department of Justice was also made aware. That refusal to intervene ultimately created an atmosphere that was so oppressive that some kids of color feared coming to class, the report said. And can you blame them? If you're being threatened with this, if you're being bullied like this in school in 2021, all you have to do is look back at your history books. That's not that far ago, to know how they handle Black children, Black people. So of course these children were afraid. Of course these children fear coming to class. That's a no-brainer. An adult would. Many stopped reporting acts of discrimination, which were often witnessed by teachers who did not step in, they said. A few told justice investigators they felt the district was condoning the way that they were treated by taking no action at all. As a consequence of this dismissive attitude to serious racial harassment, a district-wide racially hostile environment went unabated. The department concluded in the report released on Thursday, and the district left students of color vulnerable to continued abuse. Now put that in your pipe and smoke it. That is just, I can't take a beat. I don't know what to say. I'm kind of speechless. I just put up the picture of this beautiful little girl who was bullied because of her skin color. And I want you guys to see her, because I just want to make her real. So I want to hear what some of you guys have to say. Let's see. Olivia, keep watching Anderson. She's just teared up and crying, and I don't blame her. I don't have any more words than that either. Straight no chaser with the queen. That's my friend, Miss Tina Berry. She's another fly Nubian queen. Hashtag justice for Izzy. Love you too, Tina. It's so sad a baby has it so hard. I agree. If there was ever a time to pull out some white woman tears, I think now is that time. I don't know if that's funny. If there was ever a time for us as Black people to shed tears, now that's a more accurate statement. I think that time is now, because we lost a beautiful soul because she did not know her own beauty. And what that tells me is that the sound of the noise and the outside noise was a lot louder than her own inner self-worth. And so in a minute, I'm going to go through some pointers that I think that we can do to prevent other children from having to endure something like this. The first thing I want to say, right off the bat, how do you avoid something like this? Mary Dean Esquire here at the wallstreetlawyer.com, coming to you live on flynubianqueen.com, the network for melanated people like you. And we are discussing the suicide, the bullying that caused the suicide death of a beautiful Izzy, little girl affectionately known as Izzy. Her name is Isabella. And so what are some things that we can do to prevent this? How can we, now that we're faced with a situation like this, what do you do? What do you do beyond mourning her? Carol Caesar says this is disgusting and disturbing. It sure is. It sure is. I'm with you, Tina. um Ebony Robinson, they do the same thing here in Florida. They do the same thing everywhere, unfortunately. But and I'm an optimist. Every time you hear me talk, I always say I'm an optimist. I'm an optimistic person. I always try to highlight the good and talk about the good. But the only good takeaway that I can think about this little baby, you losing her life, is what lessons can we take away? How can we do better as a community, as a B1 nation? What can we do to make sure that situations like this are not happening to our future generations? So one thing, I want you parents to consider homeschooling your children. I think that was Malcolm X who said, only a fool would let his enemy educate his children. And so I think that we need to take that to heart. I know that we live in America, which is a very capitalistic society, and we put the dollar bill above everything else. And while I do believe that Black wealth is critical to Black power, that is our tagline for blackwallstreet.com, that Black wealth is critical. Black wealth is critical to Black power. I do believe that, and I champion that all day. But I champion that so that you're not a slave to earning your dollar in a way that takes you away from your home. And maybe we do need to go back to single family income households where one parent is working and another parent is staying home and nurturing these children, because you need love more than you need material things. Once your basic needs are met, once you have food, water, and shelter, clothes, I mean, your basic things, I'm not talking about the Gucci belt. Once your basic needs are met, then you don't need all of that extra stuff. Now that's all that extra stuff is coming at the expense of your family, and the expense of the ability to be able to spend time with your family. So the first thing I want you to do is consider homeschooling your children. And in relation to homeschooling, let me see, because there was something else that I pulled up on homeschooling. I'm not going to tell you to homeschool because I was talking to my sister, Queen Tina Berry, who had so much to say about, you can't homeschool. People have issues. Everybody can't do everything, yada, yada, yada. So here we go. Power Homeschool is a courseware delivery tool. It provides online courses right in your home taught by some of America's greatest teachers. So there's all of these resources that are available out there. Our mission, helping homeschool parents help their students. Powerhomeschool.org. I've not ever used this. I am not raising children, so I've not had the luxury of having the opportunity to homeschool my children. But I would consider this. I do have 2 cousins who homeschool their children, and one of my cousins has 5 children. 5 kids of her own, and she homeschooled her children up until high school. And I think they let them go to high school so that they can integrate into society. But up until that point, the goal, I believe, is to indoctrinate them with everything, all your love and all of who you are, everything that can strengthen them, which leads me to my next line of defense. We should get out ahead of it. And the idea of getting out ahead of it is something that I learned in my spiritual practice, because I follow Abraham and Esther Hicks, this older white woman who's really channeling information and consciousness from subconsciousness, and flowing energy and bringing all of this awareness and insight and intellect into our realm. Okay, I'm going there. But one of the things that she speaks about is getting out ahead of it, because by the time that you're snowballed into the bottom of the depression or the bottom of the anger, once you're down there in those vibrations, you kind of just got to work through and work your way back to the top. So how do you prevent it? And she talks a lot about by getting out ahead of it. So how do we get out ahead of white supremacy, who we know is going to attack the character and the self-esteem of our next generation, of our children? How do we get out ahead of it? You get out ahead of it by educating your children and loving your children and teaching your children who they are, what they are made of, what the power of melanin magic, how you were the first and everyone else came after you. They, all these other people are your sons. Okay, by giving them that so much reinforcement that by the time they walk out into the world, they can are not, the world doesn't, it just kind of bounces off of them. They have what we refer to on the other spiritual realm as this, you know, the shock absorbers there. So it's not that you're not moving through the world and dealing with obstacles or dealing with the issues, but you're so, you have your bumper on, you have your safety net, you have, you're just covered, you're covered in love, you're covered in self-love. So none of those things really affect you. You don't take it in. But this little girl took it in. And I mean, not to say that I don't blame her, not to say that I don't blame her, because I just can't imagine a child having to endure something like that. Having to, I mean, even the teacher, coming from your teacher, not just your classmates, but all of your teachers as well. I don't know. But that's one way I think that we can get out ahead of it. Another thing that I want you guys to consider, and a lot of people, you know, we always give ourselves these excuses. We talk a lot about excuses. Um, we have a lot of excuses of why things are not working and what's why things are not working in our community, and what we, why we can't do this, and why the community is this, and white supremacy is that, and people don't have, and I'm just, you know, I had this conversation with my dear friend today, and she just kept telling me, you know, that's not reasonable, it's not reasonable, it's not realistic, that's the word, not reasonable, realistic. Mary Dean Esquire here at the wallstreetlawyer.com, coming to you live on Fly Nubian Queen Network, the network for melanated people like you. And we are talking about Izzy, Isabella. We are hashtag justice for Izzy. Drop that. Make sure you go follow that hashtag on Instagram. And if you really want to do something for Izzy, you can donate to her GoFundMe. I left the link for the GoFundMe down in the chat. So you should have that. You should see that. You can go to her GoFundMe, and I'm going to actually share the screen with you about her. Let's see, her GoFundMe. Such a sad story, but we have to big up our own community, because we know if she was a little Caucasian girl that that this would be a non-issue. If she was a Caucasian girl, she would be all over the media. They would be all over this. So we have to love our own and big up our own. So this is her her GoFundMe page. And as you can see, of the $150,000 goal, they're only, you know, less than $30,000 away. They've already fundraised $121,350. So a lot of people are reaching out to the family, which is good, which is good. I'm happy for that. The Utah, thanks to the Utah Jazz Foundation, who donated $50,000, which is impressive. But a lot of people had a lot to say. So let's read some of their comments. No child should ever be bullied. We love you, Izzy. That's the Utah Jazz Foundation. No, Adrian Reynolds donated. No child should have to suffer like this, and no family should have to endure it. I'm sorry for your loss. We have a 5-year-old twins that go to school close by at Orchard Elementary. So angry and sad that this happened. Incredibly sorry. Hi, salute. We have an autistic daughter and are sending our deepest sympathies to you and your family. I stand with you as one autism parent. Reading about Isabella brings tears to my eyes, and my heart literally hurts. God be with you. God be with you. God be with this family that is having to endure something like this in 2020. Which brings me to my last point, and not that I want to sit here and bash the family or bash anybody that has had to bury their child, But one thing, when I started my legal career, I represented victims of family violence. And I was abused by my for those of you who don't know, I was abused by my stepmother when I was in high school. No, I'm sorry, stepmother, kid. When I was about Izzy age, I actually had manifested my first miracle when I prayed to God to deliver me from that situation. And all of this occurred when I was 9 years old. So right before I turned 10. And so having been someone who was a victim of family violence, um, I had unique advice that I know that I gave the clients who were victims of family violence that other people did not give them. And the advice that I would give them is I would tell the victim, I would give her some responsibility as well. And whereas most people at the agency and the nonprofit company that I work for, most people always wanted to coddle the victim. Oh, you poor victim, you poor victim, and you big bad bully, you big bad batterer, you big bad abusive man, but you poor victim. And I had a different perspective. I would always give the woman some ownership. And the reason why I would give the woman some ownership, because you are always your first line of defense. You are your first line of defense. And if you have to protect you, and so if you are constantly letting down your guard for someone to take advantage of you or mistreat you, I'm not here to say that you deserve what you get, because you do not. But the first step in you not deserving what you're getting in a bad situation like that is acknowledging that you do not deserve it and acting in that regard immediately. Immediately. So you are your first line of defense. And in a situation where um the parents are aware of what's going on, and you're complaining about it to you're in a racist school district, you're in a racist school, and you really think that complaining and talking to racist people about your problem is going to get your problem handled? And the reason why I'm giving the family some ownership is because as a black race, as B1 nation, as our B1 culture, the first step in not being a victim is taking some ownership and saying, okay, because what you're saying is I'm strong enough to take up and take care of myself. That's the message. I don't need someone to come in and save me. I can save myself. And when we realize that, that is such an empowering place to be. That's the reason why. Is because even though it's not your fault, it is your problem. That's monumental. So I'm going to say that again. Even though it's not your fault, it is your problem. And the only way to combat that problem is to boss up and combat that problem. And it all starts with you. If and not just paying it lip service, not just complaining and expecting someone else to change. Because what do they say? We always want everyone else to change, but we don't want to change ourselves. We want to get we want the school district to change their views on white people and black people and how we relate to. We want our enemies' heart to turn to love and love us. And I don't understand that. I don't understand that logic. I don't understand why we're looking for that from them. I don't understand why I think at that point, I think your antennas need to go up. Danger, danger, danger zone. And I think that you need to respond accordingly. I don't care if that means relocating. And I don't care if people say, well, everybody don't have resources. The only resource that you need is confidence and strength of who you are on the inside, that you can make a way out of no way. That's all you need. I mean, what more do you need than that? Okay, I think I froze a little bit. That's all you need. And when I say that that's all you need, I know people look at me and say, "Oh, you're the Wall Street lawyer. You're different." I was not always the Wall Street lawyer. I'm a little girl from the south side of Houston, Texas. Okay. So I was not always the Wall Street lawyer.com. And I became the Wall Street lawyer.com, um, walking the blind walk of faith. When I moved, I had no job waiting on me and I had nowhere else to stay waiting on me. I had nowhere to stay. I had an idea of where I thought I wanted to stay when I got to California, when I left Texas, when I first left Texas. But I had nowhere to stay. And so all I knew was that when God said go, you have to go. Walk on water. And so that's why that was such a, and if I can do it, I'm a one trick pony. I don't have a one trick. And my one trick is faith. Okay. Mary Dean Esquire here at the wallstreetlawyer.com. Everything I talk about, I'm telling you, the only trick that I have is faith. And so if I can do it, then you can do it. And if you want some help on doing it, if you're in a situation and you feel like, well, you can reach out to me. You can find me online at thewallstreetlawyer.com. You know my Instagram, I'm the Wall Street Lawyer. I have built blackwallstreet.com. If you need somebody to talk to or help you through these things, I am an attorney and I can give you some advice and I can give you some coaching and maybe help you sit into the fact that you have everything that you already need. You know what they say, if God don't send nobody, you don't need nobody. And so I think that the day that we're going to thrive as the beautiful black people that I know that we are is the day that we realize that we don't need anything from the enemy, that we don't need anything from anything outside of us to be great, to be monumental. And I just wish that these principles were instilled into our baby girl Izzy. So I just wanted to talk about our beautiful Izzy and give her some love, maybe some of the love that she was not getting in her community and in her school. You know, it's bad when the baby go to school with some air freshener because she thinks she smells bad. You know that's bad. You know that's really bad. Let's see. What were some of the comments? So you know what else I'm gonna close with, because I definitely, this made me think about the beautiful Maya Angelou, Phenomenal Woman. And I remember I've been there. I've been there. I've had my low moments, and I remember when I threw a whole hissy fit, and I talk about this on camera because they were filming over the weekend for the All Black National Convention. But I remember the time where I'm almost ashamed to say it, but it'll come out eventually. I didn't want to be black no more. Can you believe it? I didn't. And I think that you're not truly living as a human being and reach the highest of the highs if you've never experienced the depths of the lows. I think that that's life. I think that that's the beautiful thing of life. I think that that's one of the ways that we come to understand how great we truly are. And so for me, the way I pulled myself out of that low self-esteem, depressed state was research project into self-discovery of who I really was and what I was really made of. And it gave me a self-love like no other. Um, and so I read all of the words of beautiful black people. I studied people who black women who were strong and soft at the same time, who were fighters but also lovers, and understanding that as a black woman our beauty is in both. And so what came to my mind, I'm going to read this because I'm going to dedicate this to our beautiful little sister Izzy. Phenomenal woman. Pretty woman wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size. But when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say, it is in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride of my step, and the curl of my lips. I am a woman, phenomenal woman. That's me. And if I was a mother, and if I had a beautiful little girl, black girl of my own, I would make her say that when she woke up. And you're talking about a prayer. I would make her say that to herself in the mirror, morning and night. And on that note, I'm going to say good night to you all. Love you. And until we meet again, Mary Dean Esquire here at thewallstreetlawyer.com, coming to you live on Fly Nubian Queen Network, the network for melanated people like you. Remember, if you're looking to grow your business, please check out flynubianbusiness.com. If you're looking to better manage your money, please check out flynubianmoney.com. And you can always find me, Mary Dean Esquire, here online at thewallstreetlawyer.com. Good night.